about it is like, I think why I like talking about this stuff is because I'm not like some nerd or something that just freaking figured this stuff out or always have been into this stuff. Like, this is all new to me. It's just because I think it's a bigger understanding of life, in my opinion, because I think you can choose to think of life either the way that people think of in society, where they think it's regimented in a certain way. You could choose to think of it that way, it's a choice, or you could choose to think of it the way I'm saying. Either way, I just feel the way I'm saying seems to be more consistent with the original theme of life.
Right.
You know what I mean? I think a lot of the things the way are today are consistent with an artificially created way of life in the society. I think real life is just to be like one with nature, because everything else seems to work besides the humans. We're the only things that always seem to have problems.
Right.
Nothing
it's not
else,
the problems
you know?
that we create ourselves.
Yeah.
We have we've been taught and told that life should be hard and life is difficult and life, isn't what it's made out to be, isn't what it seems. Yeah. And then over time we start to believe that, and then most people never get out of that little stage. If you look at children, you ask them what they want to be, they always have a grand scheme of things.
Yeah,
I want to be an astronaut, I want to do this, I want to do that, right? And then you ask that same kid when he's like in high school, he's a teenager, and he's like, oh, I don't know, I want to be, a businessman, I want to be whatever this. And then you go and find out what they've actually done with their life. You fast forward through time again, and they're like a clerk at Walmart.
Yeah, it's something totally different. It totally faded away, or something took them off track, or one of the many distractions. It's like, and here's the most amazing part about it. Like, if you think about life, especially like I said in this country, the number one time, in my opinion, for success is like late teens to like early 40s. I think that like time frame right there.
That's what everyone has deemed the
Right.
time period where you become successful
Right.
in life.
So the reason that I say that is because think about what you just said, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if that's what everybody thinks, then through just process of self-elimination, then society has created probably more obstacles than you'll ever see in your entire life.
Right, because the thing is
time frames.
the obstacles, your obstacles that you've placed in front of you.
You know what I mean?
When you realize that's how it is, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
that
there's
time
so many
frame,
obstacles.
dude, it's retarded.
Yeah, it
like
is.
when you're a kid, it's not even nearly close, and when you're like in your 50s and on, it's not even nearly close to the shit that you see and are attracted to and want to be part of, and take you in and off of course and in and out and distract you in that time frame.
Yeah.
I mean, your late teens, like out of high school to like your early 40s, your life is a mess.
That's what everyone's told you this is supposed to be.
Yeah. Your life is just all over the place because everything that society creates, they're like, oh. And if you buy into all that stuff, dude, I always think it's weird. This is kind of stupid when I say this, but I always think of it as like those water slides at what is it called?
Sunsplash.
Sunsplash, the dark ones.
Yeah.
And like you'll just be cruising, all of a sudden there'll be a light. Like a hole in the tunnel or something, and then you kind of like lose focus, and bam, you're down another one. It kind of reminds me of like society, dude. Like everybody's trying to find that main one to come out, in the pool of whatever, in the pool of success or whatever you want to call it. And there's all these other ones. Everybody's trying to find the shortcut. No, I'm gonna go this way because he went that way, and I bet he didn't make it because he went that. I'm gonna try this way.
Oh yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? And someone that made it came back around and was like. You're like, hey, dude, what do you think? Someone actually was like, hey, what should I do? What's the best way? And he said, hey, just do everything I do. I'll genuinely show you.
Right.
You get to know him as a really cool cat. Follow that cat, you make it. And there's going to be other cats that, hey, man, what'd you do? I don't want him to get where I got. And they're going to, you know what I mean? So what's going to happen is he's going to send people on another direction because he don't want people to make it. But eventually those people aren't going to make it because the good people are going to change. It always works out a certain way where those people get eliminated, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But people get distracted by money or sex or cars or drugs or alcohol or whatever. Whatever it is. Like, where they want to be gets changed because something takes them in another direction. I don't know, whatever it is.
Yeah, no, you get distracted. Is the best way to put it. You get distracted and you have your focus put on something else. I mean, when you think about what a distraction is it's something where you're like, oh, it shifted your focus for a period of time, right? And so what ends up happening is a distraction isn't usually a distraction that we think of as like a second or two.
Yeah.
But in life, distractions are much longer than that.
Oh yeah.
And so you might have a distraction of, like raising a dog or something.
Yeah.
And then that's a distraction. And then from that distraction, you get distracted. And then pretty soon you're off on the strange tangent that isn't really you, but you just find yourself there, like kind of stranded.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. But, I mean, and there's so many ways to justify like those things too, you know what I mean? To talk about them and say that, oh, this happened because I did this, or this happened because of that. And that's the thing, that's the toughest part for people, is to take responsibility for what happens. You know, people don't like to say, hey, you know what, regardless of what's happened, because when you really think about it, it doesn't matter how you think about it. When you really think about it, it's in your control. Like, you don't have to hang out with that person. You don't have to do, you know what I mean?
And then once you realize that, you realize how easy it is to make those changes.
Yeah.
But just society has told you it's so hard.
Yeah. And then you just do these things.
You do those things, and it's easy. It's like oh, duh.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And you do it, and you're like, wow, that was really easy. And so you discover that's how life is, and that's how you start getting where you're supposed to be going.
And the thing is like, people always say, like, life doesn't always work the way you want it to. And I'm like, yeah, it does.
It does, but you can't expect to know it.
Yes, it does, but you can't
it's like,
predetermine how it should. Yeah, exactly.
You can predetermine the result, but you can't predetermine the path to get there.
Yeah, like you can be like, well, here's what I want to do. You start doing the things and putting yourself in positions to get to that place. But once you try to say, well, here's where I'm going to be able to this time. See, that's why I feel that, like, here's a huge difference. To check this out. This is an amazing thing. So people write down goals, okay? Mm-hmm. People will say that, oh, do I hit that goal right on? They usually don't. They're usually above or below it a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. But they'll say that's hitting the goal.
Right.
Okay. Do you ever notice the difference though when people have like a vision board or put up a picture? The difference.
Well, yeah, it's different because there's when you're saying I want to hit this goal, you ask yourself, okay, how am I going to get this goal? And you start coming up with all these different possibilities, and then those possibilities are the only ways that you are willing to look at for avenues to get there. Mm-hmm. When in reality, if you say, this is what I'm going to do. And when you're like, I don't know exactly how, but I know I needed to start it by doing this. And then at the end, you find out, you're like, wow, I actually did it.
Yeah.
But because you were open to the different possibilities to get you there, because everyone has their own thing.
Exactly.
You can't predetermine the path 100% and say, I'm going to go here, 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 and here, and here, and here, and this is the timeline. It's got to be, this is what I want to do. And I'm going to, try to take the steps that I think are the best at the time when I do them, just little steps, and you find yourself at the end, and you're like, wow.
Yeah, it's funny.
I never saw that coming.
It's funny, you always hear the terms like, I'm just going with the flow, or I just, kind of went with what felt good, or mm-hmm. Hey, it was easy, or it just felt right. They always say the same thing,
right?
But they're never like, this is exactly
right. It felt right, and so that's how it was right. But it's never like this is exactly how I thought it would happen.
Yeah, exactly how I pictured it. It's not that. Yeah, I can't even say pictured it because even pictured it is right, but it can't be exactly how I planned it out to be. Point for point, it unraveled exactly how I planned. It just doesn't happen that way. If people are telling you that, they're full of shit. To be honest.
Okay, so we could I just thought of this. A perfect example is the Olympics, right?
Yeah.
People who win the Olympics are like, okay, well, how does it feel? And you're like, it's exactly how I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Right. And then you go back and you look at it, and most of the time, it's not like that person was just dominating every single time, or that team or whatever. They had their little struggles. They had their thing. It was close. I mean, like, if that's really how you planned it, why would you have those struggles if everything happened exactly how you planned it?
Right.
But your end result was that you won, which was what you had planned, so it's how you planned it. But it's really not. And so you have to be open to that, like, not knowing exactly what you're going to do. You can't pre-plan it.